Good evening. What's poppin', people? My name is Marcus Thomas. Welcome to Pro Fan Talk. Thank you for joining me on this Thursday. Happy Thursday to you. And yes, let's get right to it. We have made it, folks. We made it. We are here. Week 1 tonight, 8:20 p.m. The first NFL game of the 2022 season. We made it. It's been a long road. It's been a lot of talk. It's been a lot of hype, a lot of media heads, a lot of stuff going on. But at the end of the day, we are here. Week 1. Thank you for joining me. Man, I'm just happy today is today. I'm just happy we are here. Sean Young, first out the limo. I appreciate you, brother. Always. TK, I appreciate you, fam. Always. Chris Hernandez, number 3 out the limo. Always appreciate your grandson. Love you. Pete Evans, number 4 out the limo. And my twin sister, Melanie, number 5 out the limo. I appreciate you, sis. And right in the coattails is my pops. Charles Thomas is my pops. Number 6, number 7, Sarah. All the family is in the building tonight. What's up? That's what I'm talking about. Week 1, baby. Always special. It's always special. Man, it's been going for since the draft. Everything we done been through. Charles, what's going on, dude? Everything, man. We done been through the draft. We done been through trades. We done been through free agencies. Folks getting cut, re-signed. What you going to do about Rager? What you going to do about J-Jaw? All of those questions we had. Even going back, you can even go back to last year. I remember last year, I meant to get a clip of this video, but I just forgot. Jake, what's going on? There's a video clip when we played, I believe we played Carolina. No, it wasn't Carolina because that was a day game. I forget who we played, but man, now I'm drawing a blank. Where they called our offense high school. They call Sirianni like a high school coach. So we'll see what's going to happen. Steve Smith, that's who it was. He said, dare I say it, this team is high school. This offense is high school. And from there, all the way to where we are now, media heads are picking us to be the darlings of the NFC East. I don't necessarily like that, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Chuck, right out the way, man. He agreed with the polls. Miles is going to tear it up this year. Hashtag run, booby, run. Listen, man, I hope so. I hope so, bro. I want to, Charles, we've had conversations about this. You know how I feel about Miles Sanders. Being a running back myself, in my opinion, Miles Sanders is a home run hitter. Rob Povia, what's going on, dude? Good to see you, bro. Miles Sanders is a home run hitter, in my opinion. But the question is, can he be a good inside tackle-to-tackle runner? But we're going to get into the reasons why I bring that up. But first, man, let's get right into it. Look, listen, we at that spot right now. LA and Buffalo, or I guess it's backwards. Buffalo is in LA for the first game of the season. This is going to be a good rematch from last year. I don't even know which way to go on this one. I'm leaning more towards Buffalo. But LA hasn't really. I'm curious as to what Stafford's going to look like because I know you had all of the stuff about his elbow. I'm curious if that is healthy. I would believe that it is. The Rams have a new offensive coordinator. I forget what the guy's name is. I know he's from Kentucky, but he's got experience in the league. But I mean, McVay. So is he just handing over duty so he can just concentrate on being the head coach? That's usually what happens. So, I'm thinking the Bills are going to surprise. It all depends on how they handle Aaron Donald. Defense wins championships. So if they can handle Aaron Donald, keep him out of Josh Allen's face, I think Buffalo will be fine. So should be a good game tonight. Great way to start off the season. Great game to start off the season. Buffalo still hot in the mix because of what happened in Cincinnati. You know, Aaron Donald pulling helmets and stuff. I'll be curious to see if they bring that up because you know they're going to talk about him. So are they just going to count it as a dust up, or you know, how are they going to look at it? So we'll see. We'll see. But just happy that we get some real football today. No more preseason games. No more joint practices. None of that stuff. It's the real deal. Everything counts. All right. So we're going to see what it is, man. So Sean Matthew, I like that quote. All comes down to Jalen this year, and all fans should be happy with that. Yes, kind of. I mean, I see what you're saying, and I for the most part, I agree. Because we are going to find out, and I've said this before in the past, we're going to find out one way or another if Jalen Hurts is that guy. And I'm assuming that's what you're saying. We're going to find out if he's the guy. We'll know without a shadow of a doubt at the end of the year. The only way if we don't know that is if it's if it's an injury situation. That might muddy the waters a bit, but I don't see that happening. Knock on wood. But, you know, at the end of this year, we'll see it. I think Jalen Hurts will make enough strides as a passer. Well, he will be the guy. And here's the good thing about that. They're going to give him, if he plays up to it, they're going to give him another contract, probably a 3 or 4 year deal. Probably a 4-year deal. Maybe he'll last 3, depending on how he plays. But the good thing about that is, unless here's where it's a win-win. If he plays lights out, 4,000 yards passing, high 20, low 30 touchdowns in the air, plus whatever he does on the ground, that means that's going to put him at the upper echelon of quarterbacks. Not necessarily elite, but that's going to put him in the upper echelon of quarterbacks. And he's going to get a good contract. If he's just good, well, you can say, that's why I want to see. He showed good growth, and it looks good for him going into next year. If he's just good, he's still going to get that contract, but it's not going to be a ginormous contract. So I think the Eagles are in a win-win situation. If he's not good, everybody will know, and he'll probably be up out of here, or at best, next year, he'll be the starter with a question mark. So we'll see. So I think in that situation, the Eagles are in a win-win situation. Von Miller switching sides makes a big difference. Also, watch for James Cook to make a difference. Okay. I mean, Von Miller, he's a sniper now. So he goes to where the money is. He goes to where the teams are. And there are a million players that would do the same thing if they could. They just don't have that type of cachet. When you're as good as Von Miller and you still got gas in the tank and you can perform on his level, there you go. So we'll see. Who's going to fill Andre Diller's shoes? Probably what I've heard is if needed, they can move Cam Jurgens to guard. And he can play either way. Some of the things they were talking about today was that Cam Jurgens, originally, Stout wanted to try Cam Jurgens at guard. He wanted to make him versatile. But he did such a good job at center that he really didn't get a chance to move to guard, to just get at the position a little bit. But if push comes to shove, I believe they'll put Jurgens at guard if they have to. So let's hope it don't come to that, but we shall see. So, but it's we're in a good spot, man. We are in a good spot. It's our game this week. We go to Detroit, and we gotta see what we can see. enough of the nonsense. Now, one of the things I wanted to get into, and I took notes. I went back and I watched last year's game against Detroit. Now, we blew Detroit out. But I just wanted to go back and look at how we played against Detroit just to see the difference between what we're looking at now in camp and all of that kind of stuff and what it looked like last year at one of our better games. And here's some of my notes, all right? Oddly enough, Jalen Reagor had a good game. He got hurt that game. But he had a pretty good game until he got injured. They were running him with that jet sweep, and he looked good. He looked good. I think he had one pass and 3 rushes. But he looked good. He looked fast. He got around that corner quick, and couldn't nobody catch him until he was in the second level. And he was getting like 8 to 10. So Jalen Reagor looked good last year against Detroit. So I thought that was interesting. Our defense was on point last year. Josh Sweat had 2 sacks last year. So I'm looking for our defense to set the tone this year. But Josh Sweat had 2 sacks. Now, here's one of the things that I want to get into, and this is going to go back to Chuck when you was asking about Miles Sanders and the poll question. So Boston Scott ran his ass off last year against Detroit. Boston Scott had a great game. Jordan Howard was killing them. Jordan Howard and Boston Scott were the 1-2 punch. And they were both doing it tackle to tackle. It wasn't like, I think Gainwell had a couple runs in there late in the game. But for the most part, they could not stop Jordan Howard. He was jamming it up the middle, getting 5 to 7 almost every carry. He had to have over 4 yards of carry in that game. But he was pounding it. And we had a good 1-2 punch. Now, there was a couple of times where Boston Scott's size kind of betrayed him. And I'm saying that. There we go. And I'm saying that from the standpoint of when he got through the second level and you lower your shoulder, he's just not big enough and he's just not bringing enough weight with him where he can move the pile like that. A couple of times he did, depending on if they're tackling from the side. But when you got a linebacker that's coming to fill the gap and you lower your shoulder and you just trying to get lower than he is, you're just not going to win because they're just so much bigger. In times like that, his weight, his size kind of betrayed him. However, you're talking about after 4 or 5 yards of crack. So even Boston Scott at his size, he is a good tackle-to-tackle runner. Jordan Howard was our best tackle-to-tackle inside runner. Now, my question with Miles is he going to be able to be an effective inside runner, tackle-to-tackle inside runner? Frank, what's going on, dude? Happy kickoff day. I feel you on that one. But can Miles Sanders be an effective tackle-to-tackle inside runner? I know he's going to get the opportunity to bounce it outside, show his speed, and do what he does best. However, when I looked at the tape last year, Lane Johnson to Jordan Mailata, that's where you want to stay inside because nobody's stopping those dudes. We got 2 of the best in the business. Those are our bookends. And you stay inside of those guys and you go straight ahead north and south. And if we do that, we can average 4 yards a carry. Every now and then you're going to pop one 8 to 12. Maybe you'll pop 120, something like that, throwing a screenplay. But that running game, that inside running game was just softening their middle, their defensive middle up, and they couldn't stop it. They could not stop it. So to be successful in this league, you find what you can do best against your opponent, and you keep doing it until they stop it. And if we can establish the run, that opens the play action and the passing game just beautifully. because it's going to force those linebackers to come up and respect the run game. They have to do it. We're going to gash them one way or the other, and we got the line to do that. That's why it's so important to run the ball, not RPO it. Run the ball. I want to see now these are my expectations for Jalen Hurts. All right, just for the game. So what I want to see him have at least 250 yards passing. Realistically, between 225 to 250. That would be nice. In my opinion, anything above 250 is gravy. The reason why I said 250 is because if you look at it, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago, right? Now, if he throws for 250 yards a game, if he averages 250 yards a game, he'll be over 4,000 yards for the season. 250. If he averages 250 a game this year, 17 games, that should put him at right around 42. That'll put him at exactly 42.50 if he averages 250 a game. That's not unrealistic. Now, how I see it is every now and then he's going to go above and beyond. So you know what? There's going to be a couple weeks where he's going to be 290, 300, 325, 350. Every now and then, I say maybe 3 or 4 weeks, he might have a game over 300 yards. But if his average can stay around 250 or above, he's in good shape. Everything else is great. I want 2 passing touchdowns. I want one to AJ, and I want one to Devontae. The more I watch Devontae, the more I realize you got to put your best on him. You got to put the best cornerback you got on Devontae Smith. The problem is you need to put the best cornerback you got on AJ Brown. And you need to put the best linebacker you got on Dallas Goedert. We're mismatched waiting to happen. They can't cover everybody. There's got to be a mismatch in there somewhere. If everybody's covered, somebody's going to be out of position. There's going to be a linebacker covering a running back or a tight end. We win that battle. If a cornerback is covered in tight end, we should win that battle. Because Dallas Goedert is what, 6'3", 6'4"? Throw the ball up in the air. We got too much size at tight end. And now, I don't know if you guys were paying attention, we signed the kid from Cincinnati, Aubrey Tate. That dude is like 6'5", 230. He's huge. And everybody's been talking about the catch radius of AJ Brown, how the catch radius is much better. And all of a sudden, the 7-30 ball, a 70-30 or a 50-50 ball is now a 70-30 ball because AJ Brown can go up and get it. Well, now we got a legit receiver, and I watched some of his highlights. He didn't play too much, and I'm curious as to why Cincinnati let him go. But this dude is 6'5", 230, and can jump, and he's got the wingspan. So there's not going to be, unless you're coming up against a 6'3" defensive back or safety, there's nobody that's going to be able to jump with him. Throw the ball up in the air, let him jump out the gym and go get it. We win that battle. So now we got size, we got speed, and we got depth. I'm very interested to see what they're going to do with this kid because you can't – is he going to be Alshon Jeffries 2.0? Same height. I think Alshon was 6'3". This kid is 6'4", 6'5". Like, he's huge. And he's built like a basketball player because his arms are long. So he can go up and get that ball. What are we going to do with it? How are we going to take advantage of that? So that's on Steichen. So I want to see what he's going to do with the offense. But back to Jalen, I want 2 passing touchdowns. I don't necessarily need a rushing touchdown for him. And I want less than 5 called rushes. Less than 5. I do not want RPOs this year. I know they're going to run them. I just don't want to see a lot of them. I want to test that theory about Miles Sanders. I want him to be the bell cow. Feed him the ball at least 12 to 15 times a game. Legit. If he's going to be the running back, let him be your running back. You can't running back by committee. I'm not a big fan of that. The longer he's in there, getting into the rhythm of the game and all of that kind of stuff, the more he's apt to pop one. And for all of the criticism he got, warranted, the criticism that he would never score touchdowns. You know what? You got to be in the game. You got to stay in the game. They can't take you out when you're in the red zone or take you out on 3rd and long, but that's how they run it. They got the packages. Maybe he's in, maybe he's not. 3rd and long, they're taking him out, and they're going to put Gainwell is. Man, give that dude an opportunity to touch the ball every play. Something good is going to happen. So I don't see him doing that, but we'll see. Yep. Game last year. We pounded the ball on him. Jordan Howard was wrecking shop. So I want to see what's going to happen. I was never worried about Miles Sanders' hamstring injury because I knew it right off the bat when they said it was a hammy that they were being overly cautious. Because if he was truly injured, if it was a truly serious hamstring injury, you wouldn't even saw him on the field. He'd have been somewhere rehabbing, like getting serious rehab, muscle stem, bike, stretching. He would have been getting serious rehab. He wouldn't have been on the field in sweats. So I figured that they were just being overprotective of him, and I like that. He'll be fine. I want to see him. I want to see him get the ball and I want to see what he's gonna do with it, especially with our offensive line. There's no excuse why Miles Sanders shouldn't have at least 12 carries a game, at least. And you can divide out the rest of them with Boston Scott. So we'll see. I really don't hope they don't run Jalen too much, because I'm hoping they won't need to. I'm hoping his passing game will be better, and they won't need to. Now, here's some matchups that I want to see. Right? Number 1, Jordan Mailata and Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden is the kid that they picked up from Michigan. Good kid, got him playing defensive end on that right side. It looks like they move him around a little bit, but most of the time he's playing on that right side. So that's going to put him looking at Jordan Mailata. And Jordan Mailata's gone up against the best. Matter of fact, the person that had the best game against Mailata was Hassan Reddick. He's with us now. So I'm certainly not putting Aiden Hutchinson on that level yet. He's a rookie. He got to earn them stripes. So I'm looking at Jordan Mailata to make them to get the best out of this duel. The kid's no slouch. This kid's got some skills to him, but he's still a rookie and he's got some things to figure out. So that's the one matchup I'm looking at. The second matchup is Lane Johnson against Charles Harris. Charles Harris is considered their best player on defense. He's going to move around, but most of the time he's coming from the left. So if Hutchinson's on the other side, they're probably going to flip-flop him around a little bit depending on what package they're running. But I think he's going to be in Lane Johnson's face most of the time. Charles Harris is a beast. But so is Lane Johnson. best in the business. And I'm so glad that they didn't put him in the top 100. That means everybody's sleeping on him. And I love that for us, that's the stuff where Philadelphia thrives. You're not thinking about me. You're not giving me the time of day. And that's what I like to see. Just you go ahead on and don't say nothing. You go ahead on and keep doing what you're doing. We got this. We the underdogs. So you don't have to give us the time of day. You're not thinking about, ain't nobody thinking about Lane Johnson. So you know what? I'm good with that. AJ Brown. Omani Oruwariye. That's a hard name to say. Omani Oruwariye. If Charles Harris is their best defensive player, this guy is definitely their best cornerback. So you got to put your best cornerback on our best receiver. And quite honestly, I don't think he can hang with A.J. Brown. The only reason he's the best cornerback is because Slay is with us now. Slay was their best cornerback when he was all them years in Detroit. But he works for Philadelphia now. So I'm looking for A.J. Brown to just go crazy. Because now you got to pick your poison. Michael Chromiak, happy opening day, bro. Right back to you. You got to pick your poison when you playing the Eagles now. You going Devontae, you going AJ, you going Dallas, you going Quez, and that's the other thing. Quez Watkins and Zach Pascal, those are two names. Don't forget those two names. Everybody else is, because all the focus, all of the optics are on AJ and Devontae. Zach Pascal and Quez Watkins. Quez is probably going to be our kick returner, punt returner. I'm good with that. As long as he holds on to the ball, he'll eventually pop one. Quez is fast. And here's a good way to see it. So you've got to pick your poison. And now, again, now that we got this kid, Aubrey Tate, Auden Tate. So we got Auden Tate, 6'5", 225, right? And we also signed a tight end, Dalton Keene, 6'4", 250. So now we already had Calcaterra as a good backup. Our tight ends are set. Our wide receivers are set. Now we got size and speed. We are set catching the ball. Jalen's got to deliver it. I believe he's going to do that. He's got confidence that he didn't have last year. Easily. You see that easily. But before we go ahead and jump on that cart, we got to see how he operates when you got a hidden coverage in front of your face. They shifting at the last minute. The defensive ends drop back. The linebackers come through outside the D ends, and maybe they blitz, or maybe they blitz through the middle, or maybe they fake blitz and drop. That's the stuff that you want to see. When they got things hidden and disguised and they twisting, things of that nature, that's what you want to see how Jalen is going to handle himself. That's going to be the biggest factor. Can you see it? Worst come to worst, you know he can always get out of trouble. But can you see it and recognize it, see it, process it, and know what to do, all in the span of about 2 seconds? That's where Jalen's got to get to. He's got the mental makeup to do that, but you still got to get over that hump and actually do it at game speed. Joint practice is not game speed. Game speed is game speed. So we got the weapons. We got everything. Again, going back to our game last year, we had 4 sacks in the first half. So defense was balling. Everybody's all Detroit is in vogue right now because of Hard Knocks. If they weren't on Hard Knocks, they wouldn't be getting this kind of love. Period. The only reason they're getting the hype that they're getting is because they were on Hard Knocks. So, what else one knows? Gainwell from last year. Gainwell. I don't want to see Gainwell in running the ball. He's not a tackle guy. We need, and looking at how we played last year and what Jordan Howard did. So, who's that back now? Who's taking the place of Jordan Howard? Because we need somebody to smack it up the middle, which goes back to what I was saying. Can Miles Sanders be that guy? Can he lower his shoulder and just haul it through the guard gap, through the guard tackle gap, and can he pound out 4 to 6 yards up the middle? Can he take that type of punishment? That's what we're going to see this year. Because that, I believe, is where we are most effective. Because our offensive line is, we got to have probably a top 3 offensive line in the league today, right now. So I need Miles to be able to hit it up in there and get to going north and south. He's going to have his opportunities to beat somebody to the corner, and he's going to do that. But I need him to go north and south. What happens if I don't know. I've thought about that. That's why I don't want him to run too many RPOs. I don't think that's going to happen because, listen, after that cut he made against New Orleans last year, if he can put that much pressure on his knees and make that type of cut, I think he'll be okay. The fact that he's, squatting like 625 or whatever it is, he squats more than most linemen do. So I don't worry unless somebody just, is always capable. Then it'll be Minshew mania. But, we're not going to worry about that. You can't worry about that. That's a possibility at every play. He can tear his knee walking to practice. So, but if you're asking what happens as far as what happens like going to the future, then that's a legitimate question. And I think the Eagles would use one of their draft picks on whoever they saw fit. But I don't see nobody coming out the draft this year that you would want to, throw your team behind. There's nobody like that. And now the way the climate of the NFL now, they're not giving no kids. They ain't giving these kids time to develop. They want you coming out, and you got to light it up. You got to light it up like Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert, or I was going to say Josh Allen, but I can't even say Josh Allen. It took Josh Allen 3-4 years to get it right. They wanted to run Josh Allen out of town when he got to Buffalo. His first 2 years of Buffalo were garbage. His third year, he started to turn it around. And they were like, oh, okay, this kid's got some skills. But he had to get to year 3. And that's why, like, people so quick to wait. Here's how I think about it. In today's climate with social media has reduced development time by 2 years. I'll say it like that. Social media has reduced development time for quarterbacks by 2 years, at least a year and a half at best, but worse, 2 years. Because everybody's got an opinion and everybody wants instant success. Everybody wants Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow didn't do it immediately. Joe Burrow had to sit out of here because he got hurt. So he had to sit and watch. Now, it was still a quick turnaround and he performed, but Justin Herbert, another one. It's not too many rookies that come and light it up. The best to ever do it, the GOAT, Tom Brady. Look at how Tom Brady looked his first year as a starter. It wasn't great. He managed. I believe that was more on Belichick until he came into his own. But, took him to the Super Bowl and did what he had to do. But even then, it's not That stuff don't happen a lot. So you got to give these kids time to develop. I would love to see Jalen Hurts, sit down with Joe Montana for a week. Why Joe Montana? Because before Tom Brady, Joe Montana was the best to do it. Joe Montana was the GOAT. Some people still believe he's the GOAT. If Joe Montana would have played with the rules that we have today, he probably would have more championships. He probably would have had a championship in Kansas City. But Joe Montana did not have a cannon for an arm. He had a good arm. I would put like Joe Montana and Jalen Hurts and Mariota, Tua, the kid with the Jets. Like they didn't, and I'm sure there's others out there that they didn't have like absolute cannons. He had a good arm, and that's all you need. You hear me say this all the time. The long ball is overrated. You're not going to throw a 60-yard bomb when you're on the 50. When you get in the midfield, you throwing the ball 20 to 30 yards, roughly, and you let your playmakers make plays. So long ball is overrated. And sometimes the long ball ain't really a long ball. A long ball is a 10 to 15-yard throw that turns into something better because your playmakers make plays. And that's what type of, every now and then Jalen's going to throw a dart, and he's going to launch one. And I'm hoping he's in the situation where he can launch one and just like, Devontae, go get it. Quez, go just run it. I'm launching it. You go get it. That's what they do, and that's why Tyreek Hill is so dangerous. And guys with that type of speed, because you can just chuck it up and they'll go get it. Now, one thing I will say, going back to the Miami thing, Tua can chuck the ball, but a lot of those throws, Tyreek Hill had to stop because he was just that fast. So we'll see. We shall see. So what else were we talking about? That. Oh, there we go. So how about this? Steichen. He's our play caller this year. Is he going to stay balanced? Is he going to stay balanced? Because the pressure is on him as much as it is on Jonathan Gannon, in my opinion. Are they going to open up the playbook? What are they going to do? What I want to know is, are they going to stay balanced? If we are killing them with the running game, are you still going to try to throw the ball 30 times a game? That's where it shouldn't have taken us 7 weeks to figure that out. 5 weeks or whatever it was. That was week 6 we finally started to run the ball. But we can't do that. If we're killing them with the run game, let's start running the ball. If we're killing them in the air, let's start throwing the ball. But you got to do it as you see it. You got to take what they give you. So I'm curious if we can stay balanced and how Shane Steichen is going to open up this playbook, because that is going to be critical for us. We've got all the pieces on the board. Up top stacks. Let's go Birds. I feel you. So we got all of the people on the table, man. Let's get it. We gotta release the dogs, and let's go. I'm looking for AJ Brown to I know he's looking to put on a show. He's gonna have his hurt season hat on, and he's gonna be looking to put on a show. That's why I say they got to put their best cornerback on AJ Brown. He requires that type of attention. You got to put. If he was playing back in the 80s and 90s, AJ Brown would be guarded by Dion. You got to put your best on Dion, Dante, or Hall, or Revis Island, name all of the Richard Sherman, all of the best DBs in the league. You put your number one on their number one. So he has to demand that type of attention. So we're going to see if Jalen Hurts will be able to pick that up and capitalize on it. That's where we got to go from there. We got to be able to capitalize on that. Again, creating those mismatches. I already know we're gonna be able to pound it on them. But we still got to be able to take advantage of those mismatches. And the big thing with Jalen Hurts throwing the ball is Jalen Hurts going to throw wide receivers open. That's what I want to see. When somebody's going deep, are they catching the ball with their hands outstretched, barely catching it, like getting to it? Or are they stopping and catching it like basket? If they got to reach out and go get it, that means the ball is in front and there is no chance that the DB can get to that ball or knock it away or intercept it. And we got receivers fast enough where they can track it and go get it. That's the difference. But Jalen Hurts has still got to put the ball out there. So if he can't do that, or if we get a bunch of throws week after week where Devontae and AJ are stopping to catch the ball, well, then you'll have your answer. And that's fair. Good quarterback doesn't have a good arm, so you're going to have to make some type of adjustment to get him open. To either get rid of the ball faster or you have to do some things to work on that arm strength. That's the way it goes. Why does this? Let me see. There we go. So, trying to see, did I have any more notes? Yeah, like our offensive line looked good. I don't think that's going to be any different because their defensive line got better, but our offensive line got better. So that's a wash. So that leaves us in the same situation. I don't see Hutchinson just killing Mailata. I don't see that happening. I don't see what's his name? What's his name? There you go. Charles Harris. Yeah. I don't see Charles Harris killing Lane Johnson. So they got better. We got better. Much better. And we already had a great offensive line. So that still puts us on the plus. Oh, I know I mentioned it earlier about Quez Watkins being our returner. But in that game last year, Quez was the kick returner. Ward was the punt returner. So now Quez is going to be pulling double duty, I believe, unless they do something that they ain't talked about. So I want to see. I think Quez is going to be a good returner. So he's fast enough to make some things happen and take it to the house. So very curious. Also, we cut LaMichael Pirine. And we cut Sinet. Sinet should have been gone. Shouldn't have kept him. They gave him another check for a couple of days. But Pirine, I like Pirine. He was a big back, about 220, 5'11", 220, 225. Good speed. Quick off the snap. He would have been a good Jordan Howard type runner. So my question is, going back to Miles Sanders, if Miles Sanders is not that, I guess Trey Sermon's got to do it. Sermon's got to be that guy. And the film that I've looked at, I'm going to look at some more on Sermon. He didn't really play a lot, but he just didn't look quick off the snap to me. And when I say quick off the snap, meaning when the ball is snapped to the quarterback, his first two steps just look slow to me. Like he's got to rev it up. And I need that first step to be quick to get up to speed fast. Like he doesn't get up to his top speed quick enough. And like he's not getting through the hole quick. That's what it seemed like to me. Perrine looked quick off the ball, like he can get through the hole. Like Boston Scott can get through the hole. So I know a lot of people were high. I know Chuck was high on Sermon or no, Sermon, Trey Sermon. So it'll I don't know how they're going to use him. If he'll even see the field. But we do need a big back to pound it. And the question mark still remains if Miles Sanders will be able to do that. Because if he can handle that punishment, that benefits him because that means you can send him out in pass patterns, you can pound it up the middle, and he can still beat you outside. So you don't ever want to bring in a different package and have another running back in there. It's like, okay, so he's not going up the middle. That's part of the stuff that'll create the mismatches. Stephen Kelly, what's going on, man? Glad you could join me, brother. So I'm interested to see what our running backs are going to do. We had a good game last year against Detroit. We looked good. We looked good running the ball. We were decent throwing the ball. Jalen looked pretty good. Defense looked pretty good. Marcus Epps was all over the field. I believe that's the game. The Detroit game was when TJ Edwards just started knocking heads, just going downhill and just filling. Because he was active. Josh Sweat, Hargrave, Milton, Williams. Our defensive line looked tight, man. So I'm curious as to what they're going to do with big man in the middle. I want to see how they're going to play him. Not worried about Kaiser. Not worried about TJ. I am interested to see. I believe they're going to play Hassan Reddick as a linebacker, as an outside linebacker. So that can be some interesting coverages because he's a hybrid. He's fast enough that he can get across that end if he puts his hand in the dirt, but he's also fast enough to cover as a linebacker and big enough to stuff, to fill gaps, take on the offensive lineman as a linebacker. So he's a hybrid, but he had 11 sacks last year. Like, you don't want to take that productivity away from him by keeping him at linebacker. He was best as a defensive end with his hand in the dirt last year because he's that fast off the snap. So you don't want to waste that. I want those sacks back. If he had 11 sacks, I want 8 of them with the Eagles at least. So let him do what he does best. I don't know what Gannon is going to do with that. Because now you get Brandon Graham, Sweat, and Hassan, and Derek Barnett. So maybe he'll have a hellacious rotation. But I want to see what he's going to do with that because Hassan Reddick, Kaiser White, and James Bradbury. Those are the ones that are going to show up and show out this year. Slay's going to make some big plays. He's still going to be big play Slay. I think Chauncey Gardner is going to he's going to be one of those guys that he's going to get around the ball and just break some stuff up. That'll give him the opportunity to run his mouth and do what he do. But I'm thinking our defensive backfield is solid. So we are good to go. So I want to see Bradbury, Kaiser White, and Hassan Reddick. TJ Edwards is going to keep filling up that middle. Swift, The Detroit running back is a good back. He had a pretty decent game last year, but we are a much better defense than we were last year. We got a top-tier linebacker core, which we did not have last year. So we are going to be much better against the run. How are we going to handle 3rd and long? Another question mark. Another question mark. Javon Rodriguez. I'm a Lions fan. It's amazing to see Matthew. Great. I'm assuming you're talking about Matthew Stafford in the game tonight. So we'll see. Yeah. But it's interesting. I am not worried about Jared Goff. Jared Goff's a good quarterback. I will take our defense over Jared Goff. How about that? I believe our defense will get to him. So he's not the most mobile quarterback in the world. He can move around. But when you practice against Jalen Hurts for weeks, they've had a ton of practice against the best of getting out of trouble. So Jared Goff does not worry me. They got a couple of good receivers, but we got great cornerbacks. It's just, again, our defense, man, I can't wait to. We are a defensive team again, and I love that. I love that about Philadelphia. Daggone, Javon. 5 wins. You happy with 5 wins? Man, this town would go nuclear if the Eagles got 5 wins. But hey, so Javon, you haven't drank that Hard Knocks Kool-Aid, have you? Man, being on TV, people think you better than you actually are. So, we'll see. Yeah, they are the Lions. I saw a joke today, and with all the news about the Queen, Queen Elizabeth dying, somebody said she passed away before she ever got to see a good Lions team. That's a shame. But hey, man, that's how you play the game. You see me up here rubbernecking because they just started coverage on NFL Network. Place is packed up there. So, man, I'm excited, man. Glad to see a regular game. Wife cooked some meatballs. About to give me some meatballs and some hot sauce and make it happen. So glad to be at week 1, man. And we are almost going to be an exciting day for the Eagles. Going to be an exciting day. I am. Let me see. Let me go back here. Talked about Steichen. Everybody in the chat. Show me give me your predictions for the game. Just type it in. Give me your predictions for the game. I want to see what you guys think. If you saw any of my posts, you know what mine are, but I'm assuming everybody didn't. So I'm gonna show my prediction for the game against Detroit. So if you're in the chat, let me know what you think the score of the game is going to be. So we're going to see what is going to happen. Everybody up there, out. So, nobody typing. All right, that's all right. We have to. Let me see. We talked about Hassan Reddick. Defensive. Real quick. We talked about the defense, but the defensive expectations. That's the frame I forgot. Defensive expectations for Detroit. I want to see. I want to see Hassan Reddick get to Jared Goff. 1 tackle for loss, 1 forced fumble. One forced fumble. And give me at least one pick. And I want to say Slay gets the pick. Slay goes back to Detroit and he gets the pick in front of his hometown. It's either going to be him or Gardner getting the pick. So it'll be one forced fumble and one pick, and that's where it's going to stay. And that's my prediction for the game. I got the Eagles 30-10. So I think there's going to be 2 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. So we'll see how that goes. I want to see Jalen Hurts. I don't want to see him running RPOs everywhere. I want to see him scramble out of a couple situations. But I really don't want to see any RPOs because I'm very scared that the Eagles are just going to get I'm scared, just like when we saw what happened to Jalen in the first preseason game against the Jets. Run out of bounds and somebody's going to take the penalty just to put a hit on them, and then something bad happens. So I don't want to see that. So TK's got 31-13 Lions. Okay. Dad's got 17-7. So TK's thinking like me. I think the offense is going to show out. So I'm ready for it, man. Week 1 is here. Week 1 is here. Game starts at 8:20. So we still got time. Chris has got the Eagles 24-10. All right. So you're not going over 30. Are you talking about, Chris, you talking about for betting and all that kind of stuff? I don't really bet and get into all of the, you can bet on what color shoelaces they wearing and all kind of crazy stuff. I don't get into all of that. So I'm just 30-10. I don't think the Lions have improved that much from last year. And our offense and our defense has gotten better. So for as bad as everybody said that Jalen Hurts was last year, he's a better quarterback now than he was this against the Lions last year. So I'm taking that in consideration. And our defense is better than our defense was last year. So I'm taking that into consideration also. I want the Eagles to beat the brakes off of. Leave no doubt. That way there's no misunderstanding. That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I want to see. So we can talk all this smack next week. Get a good feeling in your stomach. The one thing that I do worry about, though, and I've said this before, and this goes back into my newer days comments. And for those of you that don't know, newer days and two-a-days. When I played football, when I was in camp up at Westchester, we had two-a-days. 2 practices a day, full gear, full tilt, full contact. They don't do that no more. They have newer days. They practice for an hour, hour and a half max. No contact. Nobody goes to the ground. They get it in. They move, and it's more like a cardio workout. So what worries me is because you don't go to the ground and practice, I'm worried that our tackling is going to be piss poor for the first week or so. I'm hoping not, but we'll see. So that's the one thing to work to watch for, our tackling and also our red zone offense. Our red zone offense was garbage last year, and hopefully we've got some better answers for that. And the first time I see that wide receiver screen to the left, I'm going to go through the TV and smack Shane Steichen. So, but all right, I'm about to get out of here so I can start watching the game. You guys enjoy the game. We'll be back next week. You see the stuff on the little ticker below. I'm getting a little special down here. I got my Facebook group chat down there, the Pro Fan Talk. You can catch me on Twitter at Coach_Marcus06. So we're doing some things, making it look a little bit better. So I'm gonna get out of here so I can watch the game. You do the same. Enjoy your week 1 festivities. Go Birds. I will see y'all next week. Thanks for joining me, and I will holler at y'all later.